We are.
We are live with Live Live. All right, folks, thanks for joining us. And as always, there's always a wonderful technical glitch and stuff going on here. But Live's live on the Trevor Live Network, the only network by the players to the fans. We are not a podcast. This program's not pre-recorded, and as you can see, because it is live, we are human and we are prone to error. So, but hey, we got the one and only, soon-to-be Dr. Big Dude, the one and only H. And my name's Skip Drivelbus, and I know everybody already knows who H is, but he loves to go by that, so that's what we call him. And we're here to talk Penn State football, coming off a great win here from last week. Wow, what can I say, guys? What a game that was. Lots to say and lots to comment on it. Stefan, you want to kick it off?
Well, I want to say that it was a great win, and I would say one of the best opening game wins in a long time. Obviously, great effort by a lot of people, especially with a team that played 11 freshmen. I mean, I don't know when any Penn State team has ever started off with somewhere in the game 11 freshmen, and probably would have been more time spent by one of the freshmen, who got thrown out for a targeting penalty. It was a real shame. But when a person comes in a game, or a guy comes in defensive end, does well, and I thought made a good play. Those are the things we can talk about later, of course. But I just think it was a group of folks that came in under some really good leadership. And I'll say from Sean Clifford, because Sean Clifford had a lot of different types of games. Usually a quarterback has one, maybe two different types of games where they don't play well and then they play well. But, he had a difficult time with a lot of new players and with a lot of new transfers. And, and of course, there were some good moments in this game of Sean's veteran leadership. Also, P.J. Musafir, which they actually cut down his plays. And then Isaac, the defensive end, number 20. And Jonathan Sutherland, who's waited years to be a starter. He's been on special teams. He's been through some personal things. And to see him play outside linebacker, now he's up to, I think, 215 pounds playing linebacker, is great. He had a strong game. And, of course, up front is where I'm really proud. Against a team like Purdue, when you're playing in a game and you're on the road, all those things are against you. Everybody's been talking bad about the offensive line for weeks on all the podcasts, on all the different shows. Even the coach was a little tough on them, But I will say that, no, they didn't break any records. There weren't any rushing records broken, but we did get the tough yardage when we had to, as I mentioned before. I think I mentioned that, 3 or 4 times during the game, we would have to get that tough yardage. And we got it, including on a QB sneak where everybody ushered Sean Clifford into the end zone. That was great to see. I hadn't seen that in a while to show their toughness. And, people were overanalyzing, I thought, the offensive line. I mean, when you give up a sack and you're playing a game in a game as crucial as Purdue on the road, and you give up 1 sack, and we've had some pretty good offensive lines at Penn State. In fact, some tremendous ones, and that goes back even before a lot of us played. We were on the road, and we might have got sacked 2 or 3 times. In an excellent offensive line, and I would say, on defense, there were some plays. We all saw that there were some turnovers, and actually, listening to Coach Franklin on his press conference, he spoke about how they had to also to continue to make plays on defense and hold on to the ball. He talked about drop passes, and we'll talk about all those other things later. But on offense, we had drop passes. But on defense, I almost called it, H. I thought we had an interception for a touchdown early. I saw it coming, and that was the only thing that probably Joey Porter Jr. didn't do right all day, is he wasn't able to hold that interception he had, where he would have just walked in with his nose on that interception. That's how easy it was. But I would say really good football game, Skip, and I would say that I give props to the players and the new set of coaches and Coach Diaz coming in, and Coach Diaz actually continuing to take chances late in the game. I thought he was crazy with some of those corner blitzes that he was running, but it seemed to be at the end that we came up with the win, and some of those chances he took, they didn't predict he took. So I think he also outcoached offensive guy for sure. But good win, my fellas.
Hey, how can you top that, right? Well, we all
Yeah, I agree. That recap was special, and you even threw me a little bit when you talked about my thing about needing that turnover and that stop early, and then you went in with the what should have been a pick six, because that would have definitely changed the momentum of the game. And
For sure.
all around, it's a win. And let me take you guys back. You're never as good as you think you are when you win, and you're never as bad as you think you are when you lose. And so, it was a win. A win's a win. But yeah, there's a lot of improvement that needs to happen, and it's good. You build on it. You go from here. But Skip, last year I was all supportive of the quarterback. I am still supportive of the quarterback. Good job. Great rebound. And I'm going to add this. He cannot throw that kind of a ball at that time during the game and be a top-notch or be a contender in college football. You just cannot be around for that long and throw that kind of ball. Now, hold on. There are some excuses. There's rationale. There's bad weather. There's all of those things, none of which were present. That was a bad ball that you just cannot throw, and somebody needs to get in his stuff about that, because it just can't happen. You can't be at this level, be that kind of quarterback, starting on that kind of team in that kind of game, and throw that ball. This can't happen. Now, having rebounded, kudos. That drive, that six for seven, I think I saw somewhere that he went 6 for 7 on a crucial drive.
That's correct.
Roll the red carpet. That was great.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not one guy. It's the team. Everybody's got to take that lump on that bad ball. Was the route right? Was it at the right depth? See, there are some things that we don't know. Did they practice? Was that supposed to be a deeper route than it was? There are some other little nuances that could be there. It could be on the receiver completely, because maybe he was supposed to be a little deeper. I doubt it, but maybe he was supposed to be a little deeper, okay? Maybe he should have timed his jump, because he probably could have jumped up and get it. So everybody's got to take that lump on that chin for that bad play, Maybe somebody was rushing him, all kinds of things. Everybody can do better. The offensive line did all right. Listen, when I look at that push down the end zone, and to make that score, you can say what you want about the offensive line. When everybody goes and pushes the line back into the end zone, you doing your job. Bottom line, you doing your job. He pushed that in there and punched that thing early in the game. It's one in the trenches. And when you push the whole line back into the end zone like that, you're doing your job. So I think there were a lot of good things, and I point out those couple ones in that turnover. Coach Paterno used to say, you could point to 5 or 6 plays in a game that make the difference. I think I've touched on at least 3 of them, especially when I go back to that turnover. Nice tackle, nice strip tackle, and the recovery. Heads up, not letting the elbow go in the out of bounds, heads up all the way around. Listen, I think we got stuff to build on.
Wow. Okay.
Excellent.
Well, my turn, and I guess I look at this as, and I don't like to be the bad guy, but man, oh man, I have to say that Purdue really did play some bad football. I'm going to put it that way. Purdue played some bad football. They had, look what they had. They had 9 penalties for 92 yards. We had 5 for 56. But here's what concerns me. And if I was Coach Franklin, I'd actually be disappointed. I say, guys, and you have to set this mentality. These guys say, guys, we played bad football. This is not our potential. Purdue played a bad game, and you're fortunate you got out of here with the win. Because if you look at the turnovers and the time of possession, the total yards, Purdue beat us. Well, not time of possession. I mean, we're evenly matched, but they beat us in total yards, first downs. And if it wasn't for the fumbles and the mistakes and things like that, I mean, Purdue shot themselves in the foot pretty bad. It was their game to lose, and they lost it. They gave it up. And if you remember last week, I mentioned, don't be surprised we see a pick six from Clifford. And these are the concerns.
Sure, you did. You did say that.
I
Yeah.
know I did.
Right.
And I call it. And see, unfortunately, unless, like you said, H, unless somebody does something, we're going to see more of that this year. And that's my greatest concern is we're giving up stuff at this level of football that should not be happening. It's too easy to see happening. You saw it on D. And it's like you said earlier, H, these are the concerns I have. And I'm just speaking as a coach. And if I went in, I'd be all up in these guys. I'd say, don't you guys think you're something? Because like you said, H, you're not all that, man. This is Purdue. Look who we got to play. We got to play Ohio State. And Ohio State, if you watch the game, they didn't play that good either, but they won. You know, kind of like Penn State. Penn State played a mediocre football, but they won. And a win's a win. Now we're going to move on to this next team. But I am just concerned with what we see. Now, we got a lot to build upon, like you said, H, and like you said, Stephen. But I think, you know, you shake the dust off after this one. You give yourself a seriously good, sober look at yourself, and then you light a fire and you start getting on to some people and you start making things happen, and you start making some changes and let people know there's nothing settled yet about who's doing what in this team. It's all for grabs.
Well, and here's the thing, though, Skip. I would agree to a certain level, but I think when we start talking about again, almost anything that could have gone bad. And let me tell you something. When we won the national championship, Skip, we had our share of games that we played badly in and could have lost. And that's why back to that, like the Cincinnati game in 1986. I mean, we barely, if it wasn't for a spirited David Clark pulling that game out. I mean, David Clark ends up scoring, and Clarkie. And I just talked to him this afternoon. I think he's interested in coming on the show, by the way.
Oh, awesome. That'll be great.
That'll be great.
Yeah, he's interested in joining us for a show. But you know, this is a guy that hadn't had his due the whole time. And let me tell you something. He's out cold in the end zone. And if he doesn't have a spirited effort, or we don't have the other people, just like against Maryland, you know, we had a lot of great athletic plays against Maryland. We ended up beating Maryland 17-15. And if it weren't for two plays, it wasn't for Pete Kirkendall with the longest non-scoring, I'm getting you here, the longest non-scoring interception return in the history of Penn State football, an 82-yard return that he got ran down by the center. And if it wasn't for Duffy Cobbs on the two-point conversion, jumping over, I mean, Duffy Cobbs, and here he is, 5'10", 5'11", jumps over Maryland's receiver, who's at least 3 inches taller than him, to knock the ball away without touching the receiver. We lose that game, Skip. But you know, I think the biggest thing here is, I don't want to say, I disagree when we say we got away with it, because we would have panicked. Last year, this game would have been a loss for us. It would have been a loss because people didn't play with the heart that they played with the other night. Now, what I'm saying is, I agree with you, and I think the quarterback will be the first one to tell you, and he was the first one to say it. I didn't get a chance to look at his podcast yet, but according to the coach, he understands what's going on. And the coach has already said, hey, nobody in no position is locked up. We're going to see what happens throughout the year. And it's going to be up to him to, number one, stay healthy. Number two, and just not play well, play better than he's been playing. And here's the thing that I don't see many people doing, Skip. I mean, here's a guy, before, as H mentioned, he went 6 of 7 in that final drive. That's tough to do to begin with to a team who I think is still pretty good. And before he went 6 for 7, he was 0 for 4. How many people do you know of that can make that kind of turn around? That's a special ball player. And I know some really good players that might not have had the heart to go through it. So, yeah, and you're right, H. Nobody knows what happened on that pattern, that pick six. But everybody's got to go back to the scoring at the end of the half. The play that he made, as Joe was saying, and H is quoting Joe, you know, the other big play was ending that half, ending the first half to Brenton Strange. You know, and first of all,
oh my goodness, that was another one. Yes, I didn't mention that one.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Because I think I happen to think I'll probably count 7 plays, but no, it was great pass protection. And let me tell you something else. Great pass protection. This is Sean coming out of the pocket, waving Brenton Strange on down the field. And Brenton Strange, who's a big guy, a guy's probably 280 pounds, to glide down the field, that's the safety catch him. I mean, the coach made a joke about it. The coach said he wanted more screen time, so he slowed up. Well, if that's the case, he's an athlete, and he's going to be an NFL tight end because you have to be able to make those plays. I think that's what's different. I would say, Skip, if we were favored by 22 points and this is supposed to be an easy game, I would agree with what you're saying. But this was a team that, won 9 games last year, returned more players than we had, and had the quarterback that's supposed to have been the answer and up for up for the any of the awards that's going up. Up for the Maxwell Award or up for the Johnny Unitas Award. You have all these different people that Purdue that has had. Let me tell you something. Purdue's going to get better, and that was
They
a
are.
heartbreaking loss.
Let me piggyback on that.
I'd rather have a concerning win than a heartbreaking loss. And
yeah, you know something. Let me piggyback on that.
Okay.
I'm going to piggyback on that for a second because what my comment was going to be is, when I think back, you can almost sometimes, yeah, you can tell in a couple of minutes whether a team down to, a ball boy believes that they're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see that. And when you tell me what Purdue had in terms of what they had coming back and the expectation, I don't want to say that Penn State was scared because that wasn't the case. I don't want to say that Penn State was timid because that wasn't the case. But they just didn't have that swagger when they hit the field like we are Penn State. And I'm going to be looking for that game in and game out to see if we ever quite get there because we didn't have it, whether it's reading a newspaper, whether it's, you're dinged up on a knee or whatever it was, the swagger just didn't seem there. Maybe it was because, you said, Doctor, they had all that talent coming back. They had all the expectation there, and we were just slightly on our heels. If we weren't on our heels, we were certainly flat-footed.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I'll be looking for. Do we have that edge to us when we are Penn State? So this is a Penn State program. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Do we have a timidity about us when we take the field? And you can generally tell that with just a couple of plays in a couple of games, down to a man, down to an athlete, on that field. And that's what I didn't see. And maybe that's why it was close. Maybe that's why we had the interception. Maybe that's why we almost lost. And maybe that's why I came up with that word, entertaining. It was ugly. It was entertaining.
Gotcha. That's good.
Well, I think there's definitely promise, and I could also see like a glimmer of what good things can come here when we saw the freshman number 15, Drew Allar. I think I'm saying it right, Allar.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
When we saw him come in, I thought, okay, because I could almost see like Purdue didn't know what to do when I saw him. So I'm hoping, in the games to come, that he can get some playing time. We need to keep some of these guys because he's definitely going to be a really good quarterback coming up. And I could easily see him stepping in if Clifford doesn't continue to step up. Because this guy here is, how can I? We've been saying all along, he's like looks like a young Ben Roethlisberger out there. Strong arm, does things well, and I think if we can keep a guy like this at Penn State, we'll do fine. And I find it interesting. It's important that we keep guys here because we can see when a good quarterback goes to another school, like we see with what happened at Penn State when we lost. When he went to, I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He went to Kentucky. We lost him, and he's been setting the world on fire. I mean, that guy could maybe up for a Heisman this year. And I hate to say it, but I'd rather trade him back and send Clifford down to Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Well,
that's why I'm always supporting. I'm supporting Sean all the time because you seem hard on him, Skip. I mean,
we got to
you
remember.
cannot go 6 or 7 and
Yeah,
play the game out and be that hard on the guy. You just can't. I mean, the guy does ball. Now, having said that, he balls because he has to. He balls because he makes up from other deficiencies and whatnot. So when you talk about the backup being able to step in there, he's got to, from what I saw of that little bit of time, I think I saw a couple of plays when he was in there. My attendance span is not what it used to be. He can't follow Clifford. He's got to be his own quarterback because Clifford, Don makes up for what he lacks in other areas. He makes up for it with other tools. And the quarterback who stepped in for him, he's a different guy. He's a different kind of kid. So he can't.
Drew Aller. Yep, Drew Aller.
Yeah. He can't follow in those footsteps. And as a result, here's the intangible. As a result, the team and the players have to get used to almost two different styles. Like they can't expect Sean when he takes over. You know, that's going to be an interesting learning curve because they got two different styles of ball players there. I don't know if you guys see that, but those couple of plays tell me, wait a minute.
That's true. That's true. I mean, when he broke the pocket, this kid Aller, I mean, but again, here's where his youth came out though, Skip. Here's what I would say. Now, even though he's not a running quarterback, you have to take what the defense gives you also. Now, where he made a mistake is he had an easy first down, but guess what? He's a pocket quarterback, so he doesn't run. No, when you see you got an 11-yard gain to get a first down, you get it and you slide. You know, there's where I will say that's okay, but guess what? I'll take that, but that all it's going to mean is the more and more he understands he's going to be in the game. What I like about Aller most is that he was the first one to go up to Clifford and congratulate him after that last touchdown.
That's right, and I noticed the teamwork too. He is a team guy, team player, and that shows some good things taking place there. I'm just again noticing the different. The point I'm making is we need to keep the good guys. That the transfer portal.
Oh yeah, we need to figure out how to keep them.
Right, because Levis went down. Levis went down there. Will Levis went down to Kentucky, and he's already he just so far in a game already. He's got 303 yards. Last year he's doing great. He's possibly up for a Heisman, and these are guys we want to keep. And I wasn't joking about.
No, I agree. I agree, but I think what needs to happen is somehow Skip, we're going to have to establish, although that college football is different. I don't know, H, if you ever, like I said, and I brought this up last week, and you didn't. I don't know if there's anybody else that you wish you could have played with. I mean, was there somebody from Pitt? Was there somebody from Temple? Was there somebody from Rutgers? Was there somebody from Georgia? Could you see yourself back with what's his name? Terry Hogue. I don't know how you and Terry Hogue would be back in the defensive backfield, but but the thing is, how do we establish a program with everybody that wants to leave also? Because one of the things Coach Franklin talked about was, and I'll tell you, when we start talking about people who catching the ball like Kevon Lee's one of those people. Thank God we were able to keep him. He wasn't going to lead the country in rushing, but there was no way you were going to unnerve Kevon Lee. There was no way you were going to unnerve, and Kevon Lee being number 24 that caught the pass. Then Devin Ford, on a very critical fourth down, makes a great reception and gets the first down. So I would say we look back into it, Harry. That's why we end up winning. We end up winning because we actually got double the plays than those 5 plays. I think, I want to say there's 10 of those plays. 2 of them that we missed. Not just the touchdowns, and as you mentioned, the same way on defense. That last play, Chop Robinson, who didn't start. I didn't quite understand that. I kept hearing all this preseason hype about him. Didn't start, but ended up forcing the quarterback into a terrible incompletion. Quarterback when Purdue, good quarterback. had a good game, made some tough, and he had made some tough plays also. But
Yeah.
what happened was we were able to wear him down. And I think that's what we got to look at now. Again, we don't lose that kid, Abdul Carter. Who knows whether it's going to be closer? But like H said, that interception that Joey Porter didn't get, I think it makes it a different game. And guess that's what I like about what's going on this year. The coaches and the media and the people like us, we're all seeing things for the same. We're seeing it from the same lens. That you know, I don't know about forcing Aller to get playing time is going to necessarily keep him. It may come out that guess what? Maybe Clifford doesn't make it through the year, because if it's cramps and it's everything else that you got and you can't finish a game, you're going to see a little bit more and more of Aller. I think is what you're going to see.
Well, you'll see him.
Well, I'm concerned about that knee that got rolled up early in the game because
Yes.
you never know whether that injury early in the game, as that knee swelled up, it was it the plant that caused that high throw, that interception? We just don't know those things because those are the things that don't get talked about really
yeah.
enough. Was that knee injury when he got his knee rolled up early on to get replaced in the first place? What did that thing swell up? Because that's what happens throughout the game. When you get an injury like that, take it from me who had my share of knee injuries. That knee starts filling up with fluid and it gets stiff and gets hard to put pressure on. You can hide it when you're playing on defense, but you playing quarterback where you got to have a good solid plant to throw that ball. You never know. That could have been a factor. So I'm concerned about that as the year goes on. So I think you mentioned injury. As a possibility. But you mentioned also that somebody was hyped as a baller but didn't get time. If that's the case, that was a defensive player I think you were talking about. Then that's a coaching thing. That if he had a lot of hype and a lot of physicality, then somebody needs to be sitting down because that means you got a complicated system that you got to tone down or you got to bring your athlete up to speed. So that goes in the coaching column. If we got an athlete who was hyped and isn't performing out there, you got too complicated system. You playing him out of position, and that's coaching there. If you got somebody who's hyped and somebody who's that good, then and they're not performing, has to be pulled. That's your system, and I don't like to be blaming the athlete because some coach got a good reputation. You get your reputation when you bring all your athletes up to speed and maximize what they bring to the table. If you can't do that, then you probably need to find another job, get out of coaching. That's my humble opinion.
Wow, that's brutal but true. Well said, H. And looking ahead, because we are looking ahead as the season goes along. If I foresee if Clifford winds up being more of the same as he was last year, the coach staff needs to face some facts. This guy's not going to be NFL material. We got a guy who's behind him who is. At what point do you finally say, okay, hey, thank you for your service. We're going to back this other guy up. We appreciate you. Because I think sooner or later, not just with quarterback, any position, you have to always be evaluating and looking ahead, not to the just next game, but the game after that, the next game, the next season, the season. All these things you have to be weighing out as a coach. And I foresee that if we start seeing more of these pick sixes and things like this happening, he's not looking off people, and he's not reading the defense well, and he gets the happy feet. You notice the times that he's pulling some of these plays out are broken plays. And broken coverages. Now that's a sign of somebody adapting and overcoming, and I can appreciate that as a Marine. Speaking, I appreciate the ability to adapt.
I hope so, because you know what, Skip, you and I don't have those national championship rings on our finger if it wasn't for a quarterback just like that, John Schaefer.
That's right.
And then let me say, we played against
H actually had H. You have one or you have two rings? No, you have one.
Yeah, but H had Todd Blackledge.
That's right.
They had a whole lot more, in terms of what's going on. I mean, Black was way more accurate, and we know what was he, a 10-year NFL guy?
Oh
so that makes a difference, Skip, what you're saying. But just don't forget that championship game. Let's look at Schaefer's statistics once again. He ran in for a touchdown. He adapted and overcame. He only completed six balls that game. That's it. 6 balls for 53 yards. And I have a championship ring because I can't fit anymore because of him adapting and overcoming. Yeah. So
we get old, don't we?
Yeah, we can't. Right. Well, I lost some weight, and this one is
yours doesn't fit for all
my finger.
Yeah, yours doesn't fit for all the wrong reasons. Just as mine doesn't fit for all the wrong reasons too.
Right. Well, and that's my thing. I would say you had other people, and you had him and Matt Kisner going at it every year, and then that's why I say, and hopefully we can get Matt on this show because Matt is to me is one of the real champions that he could have gone anywhere place else. I know Joe told me, and he told me to begin with that you all are going to be linemen. You, Stan Clayton, and a bunch of other ones. It was Rich Cousy, Mark Sickler, Chris Conlon. I didn't know who that. That's Bucky. He said, listen, we got 4 of the best offensive tackles in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. I got the best quarterback in Pennsylvania, the best in Ohio, and the best in, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. I have the 3 best, and the one was Tommy Parker. I don't know if y'all remember. Tommy was there for a little bit, but Tommy's the one that left. But Matt Kisner, both of them in Big 33, and other places, they came and he stayed and he fought for the quarterback job every year. So, and Kisner would have been the guy to go to Kentucky, but you know what? He wanted a championship. Now, I'm glad about Will Levis. Levis is not going to win a championship in Kentucky. He doesn't have a chance. They're not even going to win the SEC. So guess what? Good for him. And I don't want to say good riddance because he's still a college player. But
and you know what? He'll still be a former Nittany Lion. We gotta love him like he here. But there's a difference. He will wind up in the league, and Clifford will not.
That's okay, but that doesn't put a ring on his finger.
No, I get that. I get that. But
that doesn't.
Tell you now, if we
these linemen, let me just say this: these linemen are playing for Clifford. That's the difference. Now, this young guy is good, but the question is, are these linemen? They have to be able to play for him. We would play for Schaefer. See the difference. The reason why our squad was so good because we were deep in linemen. If you ever look at the West Virginia game, I gave you an H. I gave you guys that game for a reason to show we used 5 offensive tackles in that game that we would have played for any quarterback that was in there. Any quarterback that was in there, we were going to win the championship. That was the talk. Every day think national championship, and you got to get a quarterback, and that was the thing with Shafe. We wouldn't agree all the time on certain things. And Shafe was a competitive guy. He may not be able to throw the ball 65 yards, but he's going to make the completion when it is time, and when he's going to go ahead and get it, or run against somebody like Jerome Brown, Benny Blades, all those guys that are scary. They're scary in your dreams. But this is a guy who had guts enough to suck it up and score. That's why it's hard to say. I would love to have that other young man come along. I could see, though, I would not predict that he's ready yet. And I would not predict he can give us a championship. So let's let him come along. I'd like to have him stay. But because you're going to another program, that's what I don't like about this transfer portal thing. It's too easy to leave the program. When things don't go right, you go to the transfer portal. A young man, I can't remember who it was, scored for LSU. Number 21. What was number 21's name for Penn State 2 years ago? Thought he was done playing football, and we find out he scores on Saturday night. Well, I think that's what we're going to have to find out. To think about that team, the 2012 team that came in with what's the coach's name? The first coach that we had.
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, after Bill O'Brien. I mean, they came after him. I have to give something to Zordage's kid, and all the rest of them. They all said who's going to stay and who's going to go. And I think this team needs to decide who's going to stay and who's going to go. And who said that also after we lost the first couple of games after people left camp in 1986. I mean, you saw after you won a national championship, we started off the next year 0-3. Now the question is, what was it that turned it around? we had Doug String. Doug String wasn't going to be up for the Heisman Trophy. So what was it that turned that season around?
I'm gonna tell you what turned it around. The 0-3 start. I'll tell you exactly what those. Coach Paterno got all of us in the room. The guys who were the seniors now. He set us all down and said, "I'm telling you right now, all the jobs are on the line." He put us in a room and called us all out in that room. Said, "Listen, last year is gone. Last year is over. All right, this is a brand new year, and no job is secure going forward." He put us all in a room and told us all that, and that's what turned that season around. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Coach Paterno, put us in that room, all the seniors, and he said, "I'm looking at each one of y'all, and we are starting fresh because none of you have a position that is secure on this team right now."
Wow.
So every now and then you got to light a fire on some people, and that's why I was going to something you guys said. Oh, speaking about lighting a fire, do not put a pick six. I think that thing was 72 yards. You do not put that back. Okay, you got 10 other men on that field at that time. That ball was picked up, and that man on a team that is not training to return. Okay, on a team with a bunch of defensive players who runs that 72 yards with 10 other athletes on that field. If I don't have an athlete 72 yards, I got a problem.
Yeah, and everybody should learn what an angle is. You cut people off on an angle. Let me tell you something. We had tackling drills as offensive linemen, and I hated it. I remember
pursuit
Dick Anderson had
they had pursuit drills.
That's coaching. That's a coaching error. You do not let somebody return an interception 72 yards. Now, okay, I can understand a pick six. It's on the quarterback. If you throw to the flat and your timing is off, and you throw to the flat, and the guy actually, dances into the end zone from there, that's pretty much on the quarterback. Okay, but when a guy catches the ball in the middle of the field like that, 72 yards from pay dirt, and he runs it all the way back, I can't blame the quarterback for that. That's a coaching. Everybody on that, all the 10 other guys got to take the blame for that.
I agree.
You do have receivers who can run fast and running backs who are pretty quick. You'd think somebody could track a guy down.
Somebody make a play.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
everybody's supposed to make a play.
That was the first thing that Dick Anderson told me. Dick Anderson grabbed me by my shirt, which I didn't like. He said, "Go to the football. Go to the football." Dick Anderson was a scary-looking guy, man. That wasn't going to mess with me, man.
Well, that was Coach Charles Batcher. Go to the football. Go to the ball. Franco, go to the ball.
Yeah, let me tell you something. He takes credit for Franco's immaculate reception. He said, "Why did Franco get the immaculate reception? Because he went to the football."
Yes, he would. He paid for that all the time. Yes, he did.
Yeah, he went to the and now that I understand it. Now somebody goes to the football, that's what ends up happening because either that or the other thing Joe used to say is that kid that made the interception. Is he good? But is he that good? And you had a few people like Deion Sanders and some other people that we went against, or somebody like Kevin Ross from Temple maybe could have made a play like that, or Harry Hamilton, number 17. Yeah. Well,
I appreciate that, but it ain't supposed to happen like that. I wouldn't care if you Kevin Ross. I wouldn't care if you Deion Sanders. Now, okay, we see Deion Sanders dancing in the store, but you catch the ball in the middle of the field, 72 yards out from pay dirt? Come on now.
No, it really shouldn't happen. And whenever in high school it happened, we didn't throw as much because I came from a high school system that ran the wishbone depthly. And that's when Clarkey was out there. Clarkey was all about contact, and that's what he said. Ball goes up, everybody's yelling fire or everybody's yelling bingo, and Clarkey's
yes.
Clarkey's yelling, make him pay for it. You got to make the guy pay for it. I mean, the guy
used to returning. You got a free shot at that point. But hold it. I can't let something pass before we go to the next thing.
Okay.
Did we just talk about the wishbone and Shar age here?
Yeah.
Did we talk about how we ran the
Hey, I love the wishbone. I'd love to see it make a comeback.
you can forget that. I mean, because
Oh,
as you
I
saw,
want it to come
well,
back, man. That is one of the best offenses ever devised, if it can be run and executed properly. That can
well, here's the thing. I think there are packages, and that's just it. But I think what started happening was in the NFL, they weren't using it a whole lot. Now all of a sudden, you start talking about the Wildcat package, which people thought was the same. The wishbone, there had to be, it's especially to defend it. I think to put someone in there, at quarterback, you know that they're going to take shots. In the NFL, it's got to be a position player. It can't be a quarterback taking those kind of hits because they're not going to last. I mean that's why it's like even in college, if you're basically a farm team, you're not. To me, I like it as a package. You see a guy come off the bench and number 20 used to play quarterback, but guess what? This is number 20 is not. Can throw the ball, can throw a jump pass, can throw a 20-yard out. All these other types of things. That's fine, but what I'm saying is think that it'll be something good to use as a package if you're going to use it. The wishbone, the veer, and all these other types of things. But what I'm saying
I'm
is,
going to
Mhm.
I'm going to reclaim my youth. I'm going to just reclaim my youth for a second, and I'm going to ask a question. What's the wishbone?
yeah,
Well,
yeah. Well,
Can somebody help me out? I don't
sure.
remember what the wishbone is. What's the wishbone?
Yeah, you have.
well,
You have
your definition of the skip is what?
Listening audience, what is the wishbone?
yeah, I guess
skip,
the
skip.
Oh,
Answer.
good.
first
Hey,
person to call in gets a sub, right?
yeah,
No,
right. Right. Well,
no.
from my perspective, you had three backs. I mean, and this is the way it's designed. There's so many different ways. Actually, when you run the wishbone, you can run it, but there's no one defense that can actually stop it. People have to play well, but you know, because of the way defense is played these days, and it happened before, you could get a first down on 3rd and 13. We would get a first down on 3rd and 13 because you can't account for every single man on the wishbone. That's the thing. You could have a fullback. Fullback's more like a tight end was then, except now, these guys are 6'7", they're 280, they weigh more than some of those tackles weigh.
And
So
they run
you
That,
four.
have to
that,
have
that, that, that,
guys
that's
that
that's why we lined up the way we did and pushed our way into the end zone. 3 yards
right.
in a cloud of dust.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
Power eye. We
Yeah,
used to
yeah,
run a
yeah.
power eye.
Call it double O quarterback wedge. I mean, that's what it was. It was somebody called quarterback wedge, double O 3 quarterback wedge, and then going right over the 3 hole or the 1 hole between the center and the guard. But having that person that was the fullback, and I would say you have a fullback, you have two running backs that can run either way, and at the wishbone, that was the thing about it is you had the option, and everything was based on their hot shot defensive end. Now the defensive end was going to get blocked by the fullback, or if somebody else, or you let the fullback on your own, the fullback go get the linebacker, and then you have the defensive end. You leave them on their own, and they get the quarterback. Well, you sacrifice the quarterback to go pitch it off. Whatever's happening is based on their defensive end and whatever else they have. Now, those other people that want to shift over and close down those gaps, then you have the other off tackle holes open. So the off tackle holes will be open. Whatever you put there, the play really was designed to go whatever you didn't have covered with three backs.
Right. You had to have a quarterback who knew how to read and see the play develop.
That's right.
Because if you don't see the backer stepping up, it's all by feel. If you feel, you actually hand the football to the fullback, and you only let go of it if the hole's open, and if not, you're pulling it out because it's freezing the backers. It's making them see whether they give it or not. And if
Right.
they bite on it, then you can pull it out and go down the line. Then you only have the end you have to watch,
hmm
and you're either that end's going to make a play for the pitch back or he's coming for you. And if he goes towards that back, the quarterback's cutting back and he has that seam, he can run straight up ahead. It's a really good offense. And then with all of that happening, you mix that up where he pulls up and then throws the ball to the opposite side of the field. You have defenses that just aren't ready for that. Even right now, if a team effectively came out and ran the wishbone again and had other plays that they could adapt from it, they could actually do really well. And you could see the run game come back in college football. The problem is these quarterbacks just even though they're athletes and they can run and they have more of a running type quarterback, they do not know how to read defenses like that in that type of scenario.
Right.
That's what I see is they just aren't teaching those skills right now. And I think part of the problems we're seeing now, even up here, and again, I'm not trying to go. I want him to do well. I want him to do the best. The problem I foresee is he's not reading defenses well, and he's not able to look off passes. And that, like that interception again, not to get on it again, you could read it.
I just thought that was a bad throw. I mean,
Well,
yeah.
it was a bad throw, but he didn't look anybody off.
No, he didn't. No, that's what I'm saying. And these are the things, and I think, Skip, one of the things we had down was to talk about where there could be some improvement. Certainly looking off the receivers could be. And I think, but the other part of it is, did I count 5 drop passes? I think I counted 5 drop passes from Lambert Smith, and even one from a very uncharacteristic one from Parker Washington. You know, this is a guy that I'm thinking that's going to go ahead and take the game over. But what I realize is, Harry, I guess H, you could tell me what's the best way. They said they wanted to, when they say they want to take somebody away, they said they wanted to take Parker Washington away. How do you take away their number 1 receiver? That means you're going to do what? To do this cover 0. If you're running a cover 0, which means, right, no safety help, how do you take away a receiver? That for some reason that doesn't add up for me.
Yeah, you double cover him. You give who's ever on him. You give him some help so that he realizes that he's got the out cut or the in cut or something like that. Like you take away some of the field and you take away the responsibility on the defensive player, so he can play with outside leverage and he could react to outside cuts because you know that the inside's going to be covered, even if you have an athlete running with him on the inside cut.
Okay.
And that's how you have it. And you disguise that. You disguise the double coverage, and sometimes even a triples coverage. But once you're talking about cover 0, where you got no deep help, then you kind of lose the triple coverage, which you can have if you just get a corner, some help out there, or when he's out there by himself.
Gotcha.
And that's why I'll throw this out there. I believe that a defensive scheme that relies on all safeties and corners is the wave of the future, and that is going to be almost impossible to deal with. Is going to mandate that you bring back the wishbone. I pause.
That's what you say. H, I have a question for you. You spent 9 years in the league. At that level, how? And of course, you're working your position. How much difference does it make with a quarterback being able to look off receivers or even deceive you as a back about who he may be going to? I mean, what's the skill levels are you noticing there? And actually, my next question is a follow up. Who was the toughest quarterback to try to read in your time in the league?
Okay, that's like we might have to bring that up at the next show or something like that.
Okay,
first of all, I got to start off the answer this way because you are trying to get me to come after Sean Clifford, and I got this much to say about Sean Clifford and everything in there. Wait a minute. You can't structure the question, and then because I start the answer, you don't like the way my answer starts. That hold on, please, give me a chance to answer the question. This might be coming at Sean Clifford some kind of way, and the man went 6 for 7 at the crucial time. Hold on, just give me a little bit here for a second.
You got it.
He went 6 for 7 at a crucial time in the game. My man every day, twice on Sunday. So I'm just going to put that out there. Now we can get to the look off and what other things that can be developed and can be worked on and take time and is a coaching thing as well. You know, you have these quarterback coaching gurus out here who actually spend time teaching quarterbacks those things and showing them how it's done. Okay, so you don't always have that combination where you need a guy that could use some work, use some polish, may take away from his game, so you run that risk too, and you have somebody who knows how to deliver it, how to structure the timing, okay, how it affects teach a kid how it affects the defense when you are looking off at a time and when you're not. And look here, if you go in there with a mindset, please, gentlemen, hear this, audience, hear this. If you hear or read as much as you're not supposed to do that, and Coach Paterno would always say, stop reading the newspapers, don't read about how good you are, don't read about how bad you are. If you hear things about what your offensive line isn't, you go into a game mentally prepared for what might happen. And that can be devastating. I don't care how much coaching you get in terms of looking off. Here's why I say that, because I've got to get into that compound question a little bit in terms of the tough receiver. When Vinnie Testaverdi, who we all know well here, because of the '86 championship game and whatnot, when Vinnie Testaverdi with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers played with them and had the reputation of an underpaid and underperforming offensive line, and then he's looking at film week in and week out about teams like the Chicago Bears, who Tampa Bay played twice a year, teeing off on quarterback. You had happy feet. You just have to. You go to bed the night before the game wondering how you're going to avoid certain things. So you got to play that mindset as well with regard to just the teaching and the coaching, because all of that plays in. Because Vinnie Testaverdi, I just got asked this question by a young man who's developing his own podcast. He's going to have me on his show to talk about some of these things. Vinnie Testaverdi in 7-on-7, toughest quarterback I ever played against. When he didn't have to worry about his offensive line, when he didn't have to worry about a pass rush coming on him, like the Chicago Bears in the mid-'80s had that reputation of teeing off on quarterbacks, he could put that. He had no problem putting that ball on the rope. He was the toughest quarterback I went against in 7-on-7. It was hard for me to get an interception on Vinnie Testaverdi in 7-on-7 because he had nothing but time, and he knew that. He could plant, he could sling that ball and lay it up there. That's the toughest quarterback I went in against. Now, you want to get into that time with the Jets and having a history with Dan Marino all the way back, because Dan Marino had such confidence in his arm and had such confidence in his release. He didn't care if a guy was covered. He would throw it in there, and that's all the time. Now, I also had a chance to play against Randall Cunningham, and his scramble alone is very frustrating for any defensive back, because that means you got to cover forever. When he gets outside the pocket and you got to stay with your man, that's like sandlot football at that point. You're going to cover the man all over the field when he's now broken the pocket, and now everything breaks down at that point. When you got a quarterback who can run, everything breaks down. So when Randall Cunningham, and I didn't have a chance to play against, thank goodness, possibly some of these quarterbacks who can run, when Randall Cunningham was breaking the pocket, that was that's hard, because you can't cover. Normally you're supposed to be able to cover for 3 seconds, but when you got to cover because of a scramble quarterback, you got problems. So that's it. I try to that compound question. I try to be as concise as possible. I hope I answered the question, but that's it.
Well, H, I want to also back up. I didn't even have Sean Clifford in my mind. The reason I was asking that question is because I wanted to know your mindset as a DB. How much effect does that quarterback being able to look off different players play on you as the back playing that question? Because I wanted to know, in your experience 9 years in the league, who was the best at doing that gave you the hardest time?
Yeah, that goes to Vinnie Testaverdi had it, because remember, this is why I say the best, because I'm going against him, and I have to say this because you got to look at the amount of time that I'm playing against a guy. Every practice throughout preseason, I've watched the guy sit back there and very gracefully look me off, because the look off is the safety is keying on the quarterback more often than not. Okay, particularly when he's back there in single deep, he's looking off. Even 2 deep coverage. Cover 2 was 2 deep. They have different names. Some teams call it cover 6. The nomenclature is going to be different with coaches and teams and whatnot. But you got the 2 deep and you got the single deep safety, which more often than not was me. And when Vinnie Testaverdi, when you got the 4 seams coming up the middle, okay, whether you're in 2 deep or single deep, when you got those 4 seams, okay, and you got to react to the ball alone. That look is what gives you that jump. So you're very right in terms of what the look off does and what it can do to almost any coverage, particularly with regard to the safety and the safety help, which more often than not is over the top. When the quarterback has time to look one way, all right, which begins to effectuate your break and begins to shift most underneath zones, because that is typically where the ball is going to come out. When you can look one way and then come back the other way, listen to me carefully here, and come back the other way with accuracy because of good coaching, to include, you heard me talk earlier about receiver depth and what might have caused that interception. Good coaching with precise routes and precise timing, and you can come back to that other receiver. It almost, and that's why I kind of mentioned Dan Marino, because Dan Marino would come right back and wouldn't care if the receiver was covered, because he had such confidence in his arm and his release that he would come back and let it go anyway, not giving a safety like me time to recover from the look off to get back, because the corner or the linebacker was going to be in a position to make the quarterback have to loft the ball a certain height or whatever the case is, like the overthrow and the interception, to give me time to recover from the look off. So I circle all the way back Dan Marino, because when he looked off and came back, and even if his receiver was covered, even if my linebacker was in position, he was throwing the ball with if my underneath coverage was in position, he was throwing the ball anyway, because he believed he could throw his man open.
Wow.
Say that again?
No, I said, wow. No, I'm just listening.
Yeah, he believed he could throw his man open. Yes, would you say that's critical?
No,
well, that's amazing. That's
incredible.
Amazing. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, that says a lot about him as a quarterback too. Now, when listening to everything you said just now, and that's why I was getting to this, because I think it really can make a difference in the game. And I'm not saying, and this has nothing to do about Clifford, but I just it's a difference in the game it makes is how well a quarterback can do that. And I have to say, in light of what you said, when I look at Brady and the way he's been playing the past several years in the league, that guy's a genius at doing that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He's a genius. That guy's a scientist out there dissecting a defense. You just see what he does every time. But he doesn't have the strength of an arm like Marino. But you can just see he's like a surgeon, and they're dissecting him apart.
Yeah, a guy like Tom Brady had something to prove early on, and as a result, he became a student of the game, I believe, and you could almost see that as he learns defense and just his approach to the game. I mean, you don't stay around until you're age 45 by accident. He came in with a chip on his shoulder because he didn't go till the 6th round. I got mad respect for somebody like that. You know, I came in, I was a late round draft choice. I wasn't even supposed to, the negotiations were like, if he makes the team, talking about me. If he makes the team, well, that you just gave me all the incentive I need when you tell me if I make the team. You don't draft me till the 6th round, okay? You give a guy like Tom Brady, a competitor like that, all the incentive they need when you don't draft him to the 6th round. You know, it's like that linebacker who played for the Steelers who got released 3 times by 3 different times, and then is a Hall of Fame linebacker out there because he had a chip on his shoulder. You got those athletes who are like that. Tom,
was that Lambert?
No, you try to help me remember the name. This is where the doctor comes in handy. He was number 92 for the Steelers for years, recently. After not before my time,
James Harrison.
Yeah, Harrison did.
That's it, James Harrison. I think he was released 3 times by 3 different teams or something like that, or 3 times by 2 different teams or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even after he left, he went and proved himself.
And he gets that big interception.
Yeah.
Reception return, and I was in the end zone, having to be in there with a buddy of mine, and
no kid.
Yeah, I was at the 8th row up, and I saw that, and that was when we first found out. And that's, to tell you the truth, I had forgotten all about the guy that we played with passed away. It was all they talked about all the people who had passed away that year, and they brought up Mitch Farrat's name. I remember hearing about Mitch Farrat, and then seeing Harrison take that ball up the sideline. I mean, the guy was just incredible.
Yeah, he's a
He
man.
wasn't going to be anybody they drafted necessarily today, but like you said, um, that's what I like about. Well, and that was my point I wanted to say about just not Clifford, but Penn State in general. I hope they use everything else that people said. I mean, I'm hoping that you get the players that will be able to shove it down their throats. The people whose names you don't hear about. Those are the things I talk about in speeches. I gave a speech to St. Augustine Prep. And I told them, really partly what the story is going to be is everybody's a leader on the team, regardless of who you are. There's only a first few people that can emerge as the leader, but everybody is a leader. And you'll be able to do that if you're all ready to go. And you always used to say you're only one play away. So I think what Penn State learned to Skip, and I think we got a few more minutes to talk about maybe Big Ten. And actually, we don't have much time at all to talk about Big Ten and how we did in our picks last week and this week. But I think that Penn State learned that there are so many people that they're one play away. And hopefully, like I said, they can get that swag. And like you said, one of the things that Joe used to talk about was when we had the big games, when we beat Alabama, and I forgot what the final score, I think it was 34-28 your senior year, H. And, I'd never forget him saying, I don't think those kids over there are too sure. That's what Joe was talking about, the swag. I was like, how does he know they're not too sure? He said, I think they're confident, but those kids aren't too sure they can get it done. This is where we get them. I was like, what's he talking about? How does he know they're not too sure? You got Walter Lewis, you got Joey Jones, you got all these other people. I forgot what number 25's name. That's the guy we stopped for on the goal line. We end up winning the goal line. They tear the goalpost down. But people have to, in order to be sure, they have to get a win like they got on the first Thursday night. So, do they get an A+? No, they don't. But I can tell you, the people who got A+s are the ones that no one had heard from. Did the lineman get an A+? No, but number 74, their left tackle, certainly comes pretty close. Whom no one had really heard about. He played a little bit, and then they made the change that they had to make during the game. So I will say, using 4 running backs is not a bad thing at all. When you got 4 running backs to go, 2 of them freshmen, and them ended up making the plays. And those are the people, when we talk about Skip, who is it that ran between the tackles? Number 10, Singleton, and number 13. No, they ran between the tackles. And the other guys made the plays to get a first down and to win the game. Now, they didn't go to them when it was time to win the game, but they realized number 24 was the man to go to, Kevon Lee. He was the man that was good on the cover 0, saw it right away, and they got burned on it because there was nobody to cover it. Linebacker had no choice. So we want teams not to be able to figure us out. So are we going to run a wishbone? No, but I think the way we hit the backside of the backfield with precision is going to make it different. So, Skip, where are we at now? I know we got like maybe 10 minutes left.
Yeah, I'm gonna get right to this real quick. We'll wind it up here, folks. Hey, last week we got all our picks right except one, guys, which is a surprise. We had Illinois at Indiana, and Indiana won that game.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. So we everybody was right except we all missed that one.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. And I would say that's what makes the Big Ten such a good conference. You really don't know. I mean, if those guys, that's to show you that there's a parity in the teams and the talent, and especially now that people get a chance to come from other places. I mean, even when I heard we got a guy from the Ivy League, I'm like, so what? Sometimes it's just a new opportunity. That's the part that who knows. Had it been different for me, H and Skip may have transferred from Penn State. I don't know, but I think I could have transferred then. But to me, it was just as easy as I look at why I came to Penn State, why you come to play in the Big Ten and why you want to come into Big Ten in 2 years, to know that you got UCLA and USC coming into the league, what's that going to mean? What's that going to mean now for your NIL opportunities? NIL keeps coming up again. And we have to find it also. There's a podcast about the NIL opportunities at Penn State, what players they have. We probably should check that one out. But I think that that was a big win by Indiana. Congratulations.
Yeah, I think they're going to be a strong team here for sure. Hey, well, if you guys want, I mean, I know we got a lot to go through here. If we can get our picks in if you want to do that. We've
Okay.
it's been it's always awesome, and we can always keep talking football forever. But we try to people can only listen so long, and everybody's got busy lives. So try to keep with an hour, folks. But I know we're probably running a little long here. So if it's all the same, guys, I'll go ahead and get in our picture real quick, and we can pick up again some of these awesome conversations here in the weeks to come. Here we get a nice long season ahead, and hopefully great things to talk about, especially with the way Penn State plays and as the season goes on. Because we won't have to spend a whole lot of time here with the Ohio Bobcats. We'll get to them last. Okay, so starting out the week here, we have Arkansas State at Ohio State, and I don't think anybody's going to pick Arkansas.
Zero.
I mean, I think we're going to be pretty consistent across the board with the teams coming up here. A 12 o'clock kickoff, we got Duke at Northwestern. And any thoughts, anybody on that one? Anybody going to pick Duke?
Well, Duke won a big game last week, didn't they? Or did I see that one?
I didn't catch that. Didn't catch that.
I think they did. I think you're right. Wait a minute. I think I caught wind of that. Yeah.
Well, I think I'll take Northwestern. No, I'm going to say Northwestern is a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too. I'm with you on that one, and I should know because but I don't.
But it'll be a good game. I mean that
we got actually one of the better games.
Yeah, that'll be a good game. I'm going to take Northwestern based on that and coaching. You know, they got an outstanding coach.
They do, and 12 o'clock kickoff, same as ours. We got Western Illinois at Minnesota. Everybody going to pick Western Illinois?
We'll take the Gophers.
You bet. I know we all kind of have the same mindset with a lot of these. So if you see something that jumps out.
Yeah, I'll make my comment, but the picking thing and that expertise, I go with Penn State when they're playing because the Penn State program, and so I go with Penn State. If you call them, you know which way I'm going. I don't care who the other team is. It could be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going with Penn State.
Well, these are just predictions, folks. We don't encourage anybody to bet anything. These are just our predictions of where we see the season going. We got Maryland at Charlotte. I don't think anybody's going to pick Charlotte.
No.
Yep. These are beginning of the season. I think these are somewhat.
Sometimes I feel like just being cute and picking the other team. Like I want to pick that directional team. I want to. Yeah.
Really?
Sometimes I just want to be different and throw out some sort of joke or something.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, even joking, I don't think if Charlotte beats Maryland, I could.
Well, you
probably see
joking, Charlotte. Like, I didn't know Charlotte has a football team. Like, I don't want to get canceled. I don't want to get canceled off the show.
Oh no, we wouldn't do that. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. If I think if Charlotte would win this game against Maryland, especially big, I think you'd probably see a coaching change immediately. It's that bad. No, but the next one here could actually be probably a pretty good game. Now, again, Wisconsin's ranked 19 heading into this. This is a 3:30 kickoff. Washington State at Wisconsin, which will be a good game.
Yeah, I'll say Wisconsin in a close one. Wisconsin, the Badgers are tough at home.
They are.
And I can see Washington. Well, I mean, Wisconsin falling behind, but I think
they can force out. Yeah, they got a good run game. And Wisconsin knows how to run the ball.
Yeah.
I think they're going to eat up some time on the clock. I know Washington wants to pass a lot, but I think they're not going to get the ball that much because they're going to grind the clock out. I'm with you on a close one on that.
Well, when you guys disagree, I'm going with the doctor.
Okay. Well, next we got Wagner at Rutgers. And again, I think if you pick Wagner, and if Wagner would win this, I think you'd probably see another coaching change immediately.
Yeah,
Wagner has a football team.
No, that's what I knew they did for D3. I didn't know what other level they played.
Well, I hope they're not bringing up a D3 team to play them, but I know sometimes Rutgers has had their difficulties, but please don't do that.
No, that's an FCS game. That's an FCS team that is going to make some money off of this game. Good for them. And hey, that's what we got.
Yep. And again, another.
Charlotte, just for anybody who's listening who might be a Charlotte fan or a Wagner fan, this is just me being real. That's all. When I make my comments, I'm just surprised because I didn't know that they had a football team, and that's me being very candid. I mean, no disrespect to the players who work hard and practice hard, and the coaches who get them ready for these games.
And I
just feel like I had to get that out there.
Gotcha.
Well, we are sympathetic and sharing the same sentiments, so please don't think us wrong. But we do also look at programs in the bigger picture. Okay, we got another interest. Again, is Bowden's boy still coaching in Akron? I can't remember. We got Akron at Michigan State, and I see Michigan State, easily winning this game. But is Bowden's son still coaching there?
I don't know. I'd have to look real quick.
I can't remember. I got himself a little trouble there at
this Akron, right?
Yeah, Akron. The Zips. We used to
change. Wait a minute, Akron.
Yeah, we would play them on occasion ourselves. It's a moneymaker. Akron needs the money, so yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't think H ever played against them. Akron Zips football. Let's see.
Let me ask Alexa, who's the coach of Akron football?
This year, the American football head coach of the Akron Zips is Joe Moorhead.
Joe Moorhead.
Joe Moorhead. Oh, hey, state guy.
Yeah.
Joe Moorhead's there. How about that?
Yeah. So I tell you what, they'll give him a good game, but I'm not going to pick Akron.
No. No. But interesting pick for a head coach. Terry Bowden was there for a while, but
yeah. Well.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we have now. This could be actually interesting game because Purdue is at home and they have Indiana State. But I
see here where Akron played St. Francis, PA, and they won in overtime.
Oof. I thought so.
Now, let me ask you a question. St. Francis is a college? St. Francis, was that a high school team or is that a college team?
Oh, hey, listen, don't laugh. Hey, listen, some of your old teammates were the coaches of that team. Path and all of those other guys that you played with on defense, I think they were coaches, so watch out, H.
At St. Francis?
Yes, sir. Troy Davis.
Okay, so St. Francis. Oh, well, that's probably what. Hey, listen, if my teammates are coaching St. Francis, that's probably why they played Akron to. Akron,
well, at least they were.
Akron Zips. They're. I think they're called the Akron Zips.
Right.
Yeah. I wonder what their mascot looks like. Okay, listen. I think. Okay. Anyway, go ahead on, please. I'm just going to pause for a second.
Yeah, I don't think they are. Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to get canceled. I'm getting kicked off the show. I just want the fans to know out there.
Listen, they used to be H, but they're not.
They're not the Zips anymore?
No, St. Francis, they don't have your team. Your teammates used to coach those teams. I forgot who they all were, but they were all defensive players. Pat Renoff, all those guys were. I forgot who they are. That's whoever they were. They were Penn State defensive players. That were.
Dave Pasternoff played on my side back in the day. Like we used to play on the same side for a long time. Then they brought Walker Lee Ashley over.
Right.
And it was him and I on the same side most of the time, on the strong side. Anyway, go ahead. Who's next?
Well, we have Purdue bouncing off the loss from Penn State playing Indiana State. And I have to believe Purdue is going to fix that.
I think they'll be ready.
Yep. So now this other one here could be an interesting game. Iowa State at Iowa. That should be a good game. 4 o'clock kickoff, Big Ten Network. But I'm picking Iowa on that one.
I'll take Iowa.
Yep, good game though. It should be a good game. Iowa State plays good ball. Now this one here's another 4 o'clock kickoff. We got Virginia at Illinois. Virginia. I'm going to Virginia on this one just because, ever since Grady left Illinois, man, they still struggle.
All right with the Grady's. Yeah, you know what though?
Lovey, ever since Lovey left, those people up there don't.
I want to say Illinois has learned something and will beat Virginia in a close one.
Okay, I'll put you down for Illinois. All right, H.
Skip, you went with Virginia.
I did.
Oh, okay.
What are you thinking?
No, I'm with the doctor. You know, if y'all disagree, I'm with the doctor. I got recruited out of Virginia. I went down there to visit Virginia when I came out way back in the day before a lot of the audience was even.
Hey.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, we got a 7:30 kickoff. We got Georgia Southern at Nebraska. I know as tough a loss as the other week was for Nebraska, I have to believe they're going to beat Georgia Southern.
I think I'm going to go with them.
And
really?
Oh yeah, Georgia Southern. Their program's coming along. We actually played them not too long ago. One of the early games in the season.
Yeah, 59-0. I think it was.
Yeah,
that's a directional school, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, I need to stop. I really do. Listen, go ahead. What's the next one?
Well, Harry, here you got one. We got and I still haven't figured this, Matt. A Rainbow Warriors against the Michigan. Again, it's not a hard. Michigan's ranked 4, by the way, this week.
Oh, Hawaii's in.
Yeah. Yeah. So Hawaii's they got destroyed the other week. So I just can't see why doing that one. So Michigan's on that one, and of course Idaho and Indiana. That's not going to be a hard one to pick. Too hard to pick either. So anybody going to pick Idaho instead of Indiana?
Nope.
And of course, I know across the board, I know we're all going to pick Penn State, because if Penn State does not beat the Ohio Bobcats, if they would happen to lose, right now the way the matchup predictors looking on ESPN, they have a 3.6% for a possibility of beating Penn State. I would hope that Coach Franklin and all the coaches would not just I think they should just, as you would say, drop the mic and just walk away and say, forget it. Because if Penn State does not win this game, I will be the one that drops the mic, man. I will be utterly speechless, because this should be a game where everybody, you get to get some guys some experience in this game. This is what has to happen in this game. Get in there, get your first team in, get some scores, and then get some guys and make some experience. You got to use this game for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, they're not going to lay down for anything. It's a big game for.
They're making money on this one, sure.
Yeah.
Program great for these guys to get an opportunity to get to showcase what they got.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it's this game plus the next one. I just want them to stay healthy in this game. I don't care if they win by 10. I'm going to say, let's see, if we score 35 on Purdue, I'm going to say 47-17, State.
47-17.
Yeah. I was off. I said 27-17. You actually came the closest last week. You said you didn't know the score, but you said State by 3. They ended up winning.
Yes, I did. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember that. Yeah. H, what's your prediction for Saturday?
35-10. I'll go with.
You know what? I think that's a great number, H, and I'm gonna ditto you on that one. 35-10. I predict. Yep. Good call, H. I'm all with you on that one. Awesome. Well, there you have it. That's this week, second week, college football predictions in. Should be a nice weather, perfect weather for a Saturday up here at the Happy Valley. So those people traveling out there, please be safe in your travels. Tailgate responsibly. Show your spirit, but do it in a kind, gentle, respectful way if you see people from other opposing teams. But it should be a great game.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, guys.
Great joining you guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It has been awesome,
love you guys.
As usual,
you guys be safe out here.
Love you too, man. And yeah,
we love y'all, man.
Yeah, it's that time, and the saying is, "Are you ready for Penn State football?" They're going to hit. It's a bad time, guys. So, I appreciate you guys. All right. Be back here again, folks. Join us.
Any final comments?
Just blessings. And my heart goes out to all those suffering, the hungry, the homeless, and anyone out there who could use a voice or a call to just lift them up, lift their spirits up, lift their
Amen.
mentality up, all of those things. That would be my sign off.
All right, and I would say the same. Everybody have a blessed weekend. We give thanks to the man above and all those that need to be healed and that are less fortunate. We pray for any help we can give.
Well, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I couldn't say it any better. And love one another as we all try to do. So just one question, guys, and here it goes.
You are.
Penn State.